There were times in my life where I didn't have it all figured out. I was confused. I was searching. I felt lost. And I know some of you out there feel the same way right now. But let me tell you something. It's in those moments, the moments when you don't know what's next, when everything feels silent, is working the loudest. Just because you don't see the path doesn't mean you're not on it. Being lost doesn't mean you're done. It just means you're getting ready to be found by your purpose, by your calling, by your destiny. You've got to trust the process. Trust that what's meant for you will come if you're willing to keep walking, even when you don't know where the road leads. There were many times in my life when I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. People look at me now and they see the movies, the awards, the speeches. But they don't see the young man who walked the streets of New York, unsure, broke, and frustrated. They don't see the nights I sat alone asking God, why am I here? What's the point of all this? I remember those moments deeply. Feeling lost isn't something that happens once and disappears. It comes in waves, in different seasons. I felt it when I was young, trying to find my way. I felt it even after some success, wondering if I was on the right path. And that's what I want to tell you. It's okay to feel lost. It's not a sign that you're failing. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's part of the journey. When you feel lost, your first instinct is to panic, to start comparing your life to others. You see people on social media, on TV, your friends, your classmates, people who look like they have it all figured out. And you sit there wondering, why not me? Why don't I feel like that? But what you don't realize is that most people are wearing masks. They're struggling too, just like you. Being lost doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're growing. You're about to be shaped by something greater than yourself. That uncertainty, that discomfort, it's a gift. It's pushing you to reflect. It's slowing you down so you can hear what you've been ignoring. You can't hear your purpose when you're drowning in noise. Sometimes you have to be lost so you can finally listen. I remember walking into my mom's beauty salon. I had dropped out of college, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was trying to act a little, but nothing was working. I wasn't booked, I wasn't paid, and I sure wasn't confident. And this lady walks in the shop, looks me dead in the eye and says, "Young man, you're going to speak to millions. You're going to travel the world. You're going to inspire people." I didn't believe her. I thought she was crazy. But in that moment, something shifted. It was like God used her to remind me that just because I couldn't see the future didn't mean I didn't have one. I had to trust that what I was going through had a purpose. And that's the hardest part when you're lost. Believing that where you are is exactly where you need to be. You see, the world will tell you that if you're lost, you've done something wrong. But I say, if you're lost, you're about to discover something. You're about to come face to face with who you really are, not who people say you are. When I was wandering, I learned more about myself than I ever did in moments of clarity. I learned how to pray. I learned how to listen. I learned how to get back up without applause. I learned how to act without needing a stage. All of that, those lessons, came when I was unsure. That was the preparation. That was the foundation being laid when I didn't even realize it. So if you're feeling lost right now, I'm talking to you. Don't numb it. Don't distract yourself with noise. Sit with it. Breathe. Write. Think. Listen. Trust that something is being built in you that no one else can see yet. You don't have to know the destination to take the next step. You don't need the full picture to trust the process. You just need to keep going. That's what I did. And eventually, Step by step, day by day, God started to reveal more. Doors started to open. Opportunities came. But it all began in that quiet place where I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. Being lost doesn't mean you're at the end. It means you're about to begin. When you don't know where you're going in life, discipline becomes your compass. I'm not just talking about being on time or doing the bare minimum. I'm talking about waking up every single day with a sense of structure, a sense of purpose, even if you don't have the full picture in front of you. You see, there were times in my life when I had no idea what tomorrow would bring. I didn't have a plan B, and sometimes not even a solid plan A. But what I did have was discipline. That's what kept me grounded. That's what allowed me to keep moving forward when everything around me was saying stop. There was a point in my early career where the phone wasn't ringing, where I wasn't sure if this acting dream of mine was going to lead anywhere. I didn't grow up with a golden path laid out for me. There was no safety net. I had to build it. And building anything worthwhile takes discipline. There were auditions I didn't get, roles I wasn't even considered for. People told me to be realistic. But I didn't let that define me. I kept showing up. I kept working on my craft. I stayed in the gym. Not the physical gym, but the spiritual and mental one. I studied plays. I watched the greats. I rehearsed lines in the mirror when no one was watching. That's discipline. That's the quiet grind that nobody claps for, but it's what builds you. When you feel lost, your emotions can trick you. They tell you you're wasting your time. They tell you to quit, that it's too late, that you're not enough. And those voices, they're loud when there's no direction in front of you. But what discipline does, it silences that noise. It doesn't eliminate the doubt, but it gives you something stronger than the doubt to lean on. It gives you rhythm. It gives you motion. Even when the path is dark, discipline helps you keep walking. I remember back in the day, I would get up early, pray, read my Bible, then hit the city for auditions. Some days I'd go to 5, 6 castings and get rejected from every one of them. But I didn't come home and sulk. I didn't turn bitter. I turned better. I'd go back to the basics. I'd rehearse, I'd reflect, I'd reset. Because deep down, I knew God had a plan. But faith without works is dead. So I worked. I didn't always feel inspired. I didn't always feel hopeful. But I stayed disciplined. And eventually, that discipline started to bear fruit. People see success, and they think it happened overnight. They see the awards, the roles, the speeches. And they don't see the foundation. But discipline is that foundation. It's what allows you to stay ready, even when it feels like the opportunity will never come. I always say you don't wait to get ready. You stay ready, because when the opportunity does come, and it will, you won't have time to prepare then. You'll either rise to it or you'll miss it. Discipline makes sure you're ready. Even now, after decades in the business, I rely on discipline. It's not something you outgrow. In fact, the higher you go, the more you need it, because the stakes are higher, the distractions are louder, the critics multiply. But discipline keeps your head clear. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you of who you are when the world tries to tell you otherwise. So if you're feeling lost right now, don't panic. Don't give up. Don't let the fog make you forget who you are. Get up tomorrow morning with a plan. Even if it's a small one, read something that feeds your mind. Do something that strengthens your body. Speak something that uplifts your spirit. Build your day like a bricklayer, one brick at a time. Because even when you can't see the whole building yet, you're laying the foundation for something great. And let me tell you this, you won't always be lost. But if you build discipline now, when you are found, you'll be ready for what you find. You'll be strong enough to hold it. humble enough to serve it, focused enough to grow it. That's what discipline does. It prepares you not just for success, but for the responsibility that comes with it. Faith is a powerful anchor. When I was younger, I didn't always understand that. I didn't always walk in it. There were moments I questioned everything. Where I was going, what I was supposed to be doing, whether I was enough. I didn't wake up one day and just know. I struggled. I doubted. I drifted. And in those moments of silence, when it felt like nothing was happening, when doors kept closing, when I was hearing no more than anything else, that's when faith had become more than just a word. It had to become my foundation. You see, people look at where I am now, and they think it was always this way. They think I always had it figured out, that I never lost direction. But that's not true. I had to walk through uncertainty. I had to pray through confusion. I had to hold on when I didn't see anything changing. And that's what faith is. It's not believing when everything is perfect. It's believing when nothing makes sense. When you're on your knees, not because you're grateful, but because you're broken, because you've run out of answers, and all you've got left is hope. That's faith. That's where the real journey begins. There were days I would audition for roles and walk out of the room knowing I wasn't going to get the call. Not because I wasn't good, but because the timing wasn't right. And it's in those waiting seasons, those silent seasons, where I started to build a relationship with something bigger than myself. God didn't give me clarity all at once. He gave me pieces, sometimes just enough to get through the day. But every step forward I took in faith, something in me started to shift. I began to realize that I wasn't walking alone. I was being led, even when I didn't know the destination. Faith didn't always feel like strength. Sometimes it felt like weakness, like surrender, like giving up control. But I had to learn that surrender isn't defeat, it's trust. I had to stop trying to force doors, open that weren't mine, and start believing that what was mine would find me. And not just what I wanted, but what I needed. Because sometimes the greatest blessing is not getting what you prayed for, but what God knew you couldn't see yet. I started to thank Him, even when I didn't understand the why, because I knew He was still working on the how. When I talk to young people now, when I speak at colleges or to people going through hard times, I tell them this not from a place of theory, but from lived experience. Anchor yourself in faith. When everything else is shaking, when the world is spinning, when your emotions are up and down, you need something deeper to hold on to. Fame can't give you that. Money can't give you that. Applause won't sustain you when the lights go off. But faith is what keeps you steady when the storms come, and they still come. I remember talking to my mother once when I was in one of those lost seasons, and she said something that stayed with me. Denzel, you may not see the plan, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. And I held on to that. When I felt like nothing was moving, I reminded myself that delay is not denial. That just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it's not coming. I had to learn patience. I had to learn humility. I had to trust the unseen. And every time I did, something opened up. An opportunity came. A door cracked. A role landed. But it wasn't just what that changed. It was me. I was different, stronger, ready. I don't know who's listening to this right now, but maybe you're in that place. Maybe you're lost. Maybe you're tired. You're looking for answers, and all you've got are questions. I've been there. And I want you to hear me when I say this, hold on. Don't quit. Don't give up on yourself. Don't let the silence convince you that you're forgotten. Faith is working behind the scenes. God is setting something up that you can't see yet. Stay faithful in the small things. Stay consistent in your spirit. Keep praying. Keep believing. You may feel lost, but you are never alone. And if you keep walking in faith, one day you'll look back and realize you were never lost. You were just being guided. There were times I thought something was meant for me, auditions I thought I nailed, roles I was born to play, opportunities I believed were written in my destiny. But the answer came back no. Rejected, doors closed. Silence. You sit there wondering, what did I do wrong? Why not me? You start questioning your talent, your path, your purpose. But let me tell you something I've learned over the years. And I learned it not from success, but from failure. Rejection is not the end of the road. Rejection is redirection. Every no I received was not a denial of my worth. It was a nudge from God saying, that's not your door. Keep walking. When I was younger, I wanted things to happen fast. I wanted the big breaks, the recognition, the success. I had dreams, but I also had expectations. And expectations, when not met, can become poison if you don't understand the lesson and the weight. I auditioned for roles that I thought would change my life. I gave them everything I had, sweat, passion, hunger. I remember thinking, this is it. And then the call wouldn't come. Or worse, it came with a, you were great, but we went another way. And each time it bruised my ego, my pride, and sometimes my hope. But here's the truth I discovered in those painful moments. Not getting what you want can be the best thing for you. Because sometimes what you want isn't aligned with what you need. Every closed door in my life led me to a better one. But you only realize that in hindsight. When you're in it, when you're walking out of a room after another rejection, you don't feel like you're being guided. You feel abandoned. You feel like the world is telling you you're not good enough. But I've come to understand something powerful. Those closed doors, those so-called failures, were actually God's protection. They kept me from going places where I didn't belong. They kept me on the path to something greater, something meant for me. There was a point when I almost gave up on acting. I thought maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe I should do something safer, more stable. But I didn't quit. And that's important because you can feel lost. You can feel rejected, but you don't have to stay there. You can keep moving, keep showing up, keep doing the work. Because eventually that door, the one that has your name on it, will open. And when it does, you'll realize that every no prepared you for that moment. I think back to the roles I didn't get, and I thank God for those rejections. If I had gotten some of them, I wouldn't have been available for the ones that changed my life. If I had forced my way into the wrong rooms, I wouldn't have walked into the right ones. Rejection gave me time to grow. It gave me time to study, to train, to deepen my craft. It humbled me. It reminded me that this isn't about ego. It's about service. It's about being ready when your number is called. And when that time comes, you better be prepared. There's someone listening right now who just got turned down. Maybe you didn't get the job, the scholarship, the part, the approval. You feel defeated. I've been there. And I want you to hear me clearly. Your worth is not tied to someone else's opinion. Your path is not broken because one opportunity didn't work out. Sometimes rejection is the greatest gift you'll ever receive because it reroutes you to something better, something higher. And you may not see it today or tomorrow, but one day you'll look back and say, thank God I didn't get what I thought I wanted. So don't give up. Don't let one closed door convince you that your journey is over. Keep walking, keep believing, keep working, because the rejection you're facing right now may be the exact redirection you need to find your purpose. And when that moment comes, when the right door opens, you'll step through it not as someone desperate for validation, but as someone ready, someone strong, someone who knows what it took to get there. And that is where greatness begins. There were times in my life where it felt like nothing was moving, like everything I had hoped for, prayed for, worked for. It was all stuck in this silent, invisible place. I didn't have a role lined up. I didn't know if I was going to make rent. I didn't even know if I was walking in the right direction. But in those quiet seasons, when the phone wasn't ringing and the auditions weren't landing, I learned something. I learned that preparation in the dark is more important than performance in the light. You see, people think success comes from the moment you get discovered, the moment the spotlight hits you. But I'm telling you, it comes from the work you do when no one's watching. There was a time I was lost, not in the physical sense, but emotionally, spiritually. I knew I had something to offer. I felt the gift inside me, but it wasn't being recognized. The world wasn't seeing it yet. I remember standing outside audition rooms, watching other actors go in and walk out with confidence. And I was just trying to keep my head together. And during that time, I could have broken down. I could have given in to the voices that said, "You're not good enough," or "Maybe this isn't your path." But instead, I went back to the basics. I read every script I could get my hands on, even if I wasn't being paid. I practiced lines in my room until my voice went hoarse. I studied performances of actors I admired like it was homework. I trained in silence because I knew eventually my opportunity would come. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't just train my talent. I trained my mind. I trained my spirit. I prayed. I stayed connected to God. Because when you're lost, when you feel like you're walking blind, you need something bigger than you to guide you. And so I prepared. I prepared as if the door was already open. I prepared like the role I wanted was already mine, because one day that door would open. And when it did, I wasn't going to stumble through it unready. I was going to walk through it prepared, confident, steady, because I had done the work in the shadows. Your gift will make room for you. That's scripture. That's truth. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It doesn't mean it's going to come knocking, asking if you're ready. Most of the time, the opportunity shows up when you least expect it. And if you're not prepared, you miss it. You can't sharpen your sword in the middle of a battle. You've got to do it beforehand, in the dark, in the quiet, when it feels like no one sees you. Because the day will come when the curtain rises, when the spotlight finds you, and everything you did in the dark is going to speak for you. That's what happened for me. All those hours of studying, all those prayers, all those no's I heard before I got a yes, they weren't wasted. They were building me. They were shaping me. Every moment of preparation was a brick in the foundation of who I became. When I stepped onto a stage or onto a set, people saw the performance. But what they didn't see was the discipline behind it, the faith, the nights I stayed up reading a monologue because I knew I could make it better, the mornings I woke up and spoke life into myself because the world wasn't doing it for me. That's what made me who I am. So if you feel lost right now, I want you to understand your gift hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. You're just in the process of preparation. It's not punishment. It's development. And the question is, will you keep working when no one's clapping? Will you keep pushing when no one's watching? Because if you do, when your moment comes, and it will come, you won't have to scramble to become something. You'll already be it. You won't be surprised by your success. You'll be ready for it. Because you were faithful in the silence. You were dedicated in the dark. And now, the light belongs to you.